Hello everybody and welcome back to Apple Gaming SE. It's been a while since I've done a news story with my Saturday stream. I get kind of distracted when playing like high action games like Space Assault. And then when playing Civ, I was too busy trying to plan next moves and react to things that were happening and just kind of fell to the wayside as well. So I'm thinking maybe on Sundays I'll just do a quick little sum up and just give my thoughts on news from the week regarding Apple and what's going on in the Apple universe. First off, a little channel news. I've got a bunch of new subs. I'm at 18 subs on YouTube. YouTube is not telling me who all my new subscribers are, so I've got 5 new ones from last week, or last, I think, 2 weeks. Week and a half probably is more accurate, but whoever you are, I appreciate you. It didn't tell me who all did it, so MacGG left a comment, so I'm going to shout you out. Thank you, MacGG. Thanks for the sub. Go check out the channel. And then Code Weavers of Crossover, the developers of Crossover, also subscribe to my channel, and Sailesh Patel, whoever that is, I don't know, but thank you to Sailesh Patel as well. So 3 of my 5, I appreciate you subbing. It means a whole lot to me. 2 away from 20, so we're driving forward. That being said, we're going to cover the Capcom iOS lineup. Basically, it's Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4. They're coming to the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max models, but they're also coming to iPad Pro models with an M1 chip. So the iPad Pro 5th generation, 3rd generation, the M2, which is the 6th generation, and the M2 4th generation. So those are 11-inch and 12.9-inch iPad Pros. And then the iPad Air M1 5th generation, that is coming out as it's going to be playable on that system as well. So in looking at this, being that this game is going to be available on both iOS and on Mac, I really think Apple needs to implement a buy once and play anywhere purchase model, and I don't mean just in Apple Arcade. I think that if you buy it on a Mac, it should be available on iOS. Fortunately, as for Resident Evil 4, Capcom says that Resident Evil 4 will be one purchase with cross-progression gameplay, which is the way it should be. So Apple is unifying their hardware platforms. This seems like the correct thing to do for customers, and it's similar to other game platforms, except maybe Nintendo. But both games have the same iOS system requirements. They've got pretty similar macOS requirements, so I think that it's the right move for the consumer. Fine-woven case criticisms continue. 9to5Mac had a headline named, "Apple weaved itself into a fine mess with the awful iPhone 15 fine-woven case." Mac Rumors had a similar title with the fine-woven iPhone case continued criticism. So it's kind of, their headline and mine were kind of the same, actually. Basically in this, Apple is doing some pretty critical public relations control right now. They're going to do PR damage control. Issuing a new directive to Apple Store retail employees, and I'm sure it's going around to the Apple retail partners as well, that focus on positives about the case, and they do admit there will be some wear on the cases over time, especially from MagSafe devices. So Apple is telling all of their sales and retail employees to pump up the benefits of fine woven and downplay the public, basically the public idea that's gotten out there that these are very poor or low quality cases. I don't immediately see this issue getting better. I do see Apple sticking to its pricing of, what is it, $69.99 I think here in the US. I think it's $70 for these cases for probably 3 months. If the sales are positive, but not where Apple wants them, Apple will do a quiet price reduction. We've seen this in the past with some of the other devices. But if the sales are generally really poor, they'll just pull the line of products completely. So I'm interested to see if leather comes back in that case. But I don't anticipate it to do so. I really don't think leather is going to come back. Like I said, I'm interested to see if that happens, but I don't think it will. Now Apple has a non-admission of the iPhone 15 Pro overheating issue. So Macworld's headline was, "Here's why your iPhone 15 Pro is overheating and how Apple is planning to fix it." Mashable and 9to5Mac both had articles as well with similar headlines. There's a fix for iPhone 15's overheating problem, but you're not going to like it. I think that At this point, everybody is theorizing that by the end of the next week, probably, that Apple is going to have pushed a software update to throttle the SoC that's in the iPhone 15 Pro line, and that's going to be iOS 7.03 or 17.0.3 or 17.1. I should say that's beta. I don't think that they're necessarily going to go live with the update by the end of next week, but certainly they'll have a beta, I would think, by the end of next week. Apple does state it's identified some internal services like file and image indexing that are using a little bit more wattage than they had intended. They also pointed out that third-party developers have already issued updates in some cases, like on Instagram, that fixed the issue. Also, it seems Asphalt 9 is a lot of complaints are coming from Asphalt 9 as well, so maybe there'll be an update for that in the near future. In my own personal experience at AppleCare, I think it's likely that Apple will replace the worst offenders who called into AppleCare or who go to a Genius bar. So we had a process that we called capturing. So if we were reasonably convinced that there was a defect in the device and we couldn't figure out why, not like an engineering defect, but not necessarily a defect in materials, we would issue a capture on the device and bring it back in its state, the current state the user had it in at the time, and we would attempt to then just do the engineering team would then attempt to go and dig deeper into it. I wasn't part of that team, so I don't know the exact process, but I was part of the capture process. So if in specific instances when it was needed, it was done. Basically, Apple gives the customer a whole brand new device with brand new warranty, AppleCare, all that jazz. And then, at least that's how they used to do it. I don't know that they'll do it that way this time. To be clear, I'm not saying that's how Apple operates now. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes forward. I don't think that there's any kind of major widespread overheating issue. I think that if there was, Apple would be, we'll see what comes out in the beta version of this patch, but and see what kind of fixes there are. But I don't think Max Tech, for example, Vadim over at Max Tech, I don't think he's correct. I don't think that this is an issue with it being 14 watts. While that does use a lot more power than we're accustomed to, I don't think that's ultimately the issue. So, last story, Tim Cook, this is from 9to5Mac. Tim Cook says Vision Pro is one of life's aha moments, and Apple is, quote, very serious, end quote, about gaming. I don't really care about the Vision Pro stuff. It's just way out of my price range for it for me to seriously consider it as a purchase. But what I am interested in is what Tim Cook said at the end of the article. There's a significant excitement about our whole role in gaming, and we're very serious about it, he says. This is not a hobby for us. We're putting all of ourselves out there. I genuinely hope that this is true. I would like to see Apple become you could argue, just by the sheer number of iPhones out there, that the Apple ecosystem is already, or at least part of the Apple ecosystem is already a top-tier gaming platform. What I would really like is for Apple to get behind this and kind of in something that's closer to what gamers kind of expect. They don't have to do it the exact same way as Xbox or PlayStation. I really hope they don't do it the way Nintendo does it, where they kind of, even the same software or the same games between generations are quite expensive to regain access to. But we'll see how things shake out. It's going to be an interesting time coming up, I think, over the next year and a half for gaming in the Apple ecosystem. So that's it for Apple News today. I am going to let you finish watching the gameplay that is on screen, and I look forward to seeing you next week for the next set of Apple News. Take care now. Bye-bye.